Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, August 8th already. Here we are, quickly closing in on school starting, end of vacations. Good morning. Uh, I know Dia's heading back soon. Are you already back, Dia? Yeah, lots going on. Good morning. This is Encinitas Mindfulness Community, and we today are talking about the way I think the Buddha might have said it was right or wise livelihood. You've heard me say already 5 times. That's quite an insufficient definition of a jiva. A jiva really mean to live. Right living. How do we live? And then we could take this idea of living a little further based on our noble steps before: wise understanding, wise view, wise intention, wise resolve, wise speech, which begins our virtue section. We're now working in the virtues, or the most ignored is how do we then live this? It's the middle section, rightly, and often the one least talked about. Does anybody have any idea why?
It's the hardest.
No doubt about it. It is by far the hardest. It's so hard that you just don't even want to look at it. And then actually when you look at it, you go, oh no. And when we look at right exchange, I'm going to call it, right production, right consumption would be another way to think about it. What are we producing in the world? What are we consuming? Another way of thinking about livelihood, about exchanges. And then we see immediately that Lynn's already sighing, like, oh no. But here we are awakening right now to it. And so when you go, and I'll make a joke out of some of what the Buddha says: whatever you do, make sure you don't do this. And my family has done them all, really amazingly. And so remember, we all have the imprints, don't we? We all have the imprints of what we didn't understand just the moment before, or just the generation before. And then what? Well, but I'm awakening now. I get it now. I don't sell drugs now. I don't, right? And Brenda, I'm not singling you out in any way. That wasn't intended like that. My neighbor, who is not well and actually actively dying now, has lived there much longer than we have and is now in the active stage of dying. And that woman had a life of suffering. And it was significant suffering. It's suffering I actually probably can't even wrap my arms around. And that suffering at times sometimes extended over into our yard because her confusion ended up looking like projected onto my sons and then sometimes onto me. And we eventually had to do some things that I would never want to do with restraint, right? All the things. And now she's home. And I feel really good about this because she raised her children there and lived there. And now she will get to die there. And I feel really grateful that we're in a place now where that can happen. That's not the point of the story, though. The point of the story is that she knew I worked in mental health, but she didn't understand what I did. And so her sense was that I was selling drugs. That was somehow how she interpreted that. Okay. And she was a little paranoid anyway, so it'd be easy to take it there. And then my son became a drummer, about 10 years old. And as he would drum, she had the idea that his drumming was for me to call on the neighbors and others to come get their drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Now, this was not wholly inaccurate because I'm pretty sure my son did eventually use some drugs at some stage in his development. And I'm pretty sure they were drumming along with him. She's not totally off. And yet the suffering that came from the misunderstanding and then the potential harm to her. And so, as we talk today about right exchanges, and I even like the word sacred here better, because in every interaction, then, including that one, there is an exchange, isn't there? There is something being given and something being received. There is something being taken and something being gifted in every single exchange, including that one, right? Even where you go, well, that was just a funny story a really long time ago. And in fact, it had, in its long story that I won't go into, implications for her not being in her home for years, right? This is serious. One interaction, it was. It was ultimately down to one interaction that became so dangerous that we couldn't just choose to not. And then what is sacred relationship right exchange now? And it's hard, isn't it? I'm shaking, literally, from the remembering how difficult this was to do the right thing for everyone, which was the question I kept asking, what's the right thing for everyone? And I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find it because at that moment my sons were endangered. And I was blinded for moments by that. Now, the good news is I saw it. I saw it. I could see the blindedness and the just mother wish for protection and the she's just got to go away and right. And so ultimately it didn't require that. But I know now as she lays here, feet from us, dying, how grateful I am for the practice. How grateful, because now I'm not carrying remorse and regret and hatred and ill will. I don't have to walk with that. And when she dies, I will be able to go over to her daughter and truly say, I am sorry for this loss. And ultimately for our loss, right? Because we never got to know the other side of her. And so I'm telling this personal story why I want us to expand our definition of sama ajiva then to include life exchange. Could we think of it that way? Not money, but life exchange. What are we giving? What are we taking? And then in each moment, if we understand the truth of that exchange being continuous, and then we can begin as we will today in practice, simply with the breath. Isn't it there? In every breath, there is a giving and a taking, right? Each breath. And then beyond the breath, every thought. And then beyond the thought, every word. And then every action says the path. And now, in the marketplace is one of the ways it's talked about. In right living, how do I go into the larger world with right exchange? What am I taking, giving? How am I exchanging this? I have been very privileged in this life, very privileged to always feel good about the exchange, and the money never mattered. It's one of my problems in the work I do. People go, there's some amount of money. Right? I used to do that in the first job I got. They didn't pay me for months, and it didn't occur to me to look. I was living with my husband, thankfully, or we'd be starving, right? But it never was about that, and it never had to be. And I understand the privilege, by the way, of that I actually got to pick. I got to go to a school. I got to do some training. I could look at the privileges of this. And we have to then also, and I have to talk about this, though it is not my favorite topic, we have to then confront the way we all participate in what I'm going to call wage slavery. We have to then, right, as a dynamic of livelihood, that really there are many people making almost nothing, and certainly not enough to sustain themselves rightly, wisely, correctly in this world, right? It's just so. And so we, as we talk about right livelihood, wise livelihood, not only the professions we had, not only the exchanges of respect, regard, attention, peace that we cultivate, we have to then go, and what do I do about the imbalances? How am I attending also then? And then we don't like it anymore, right? Even with this lovely exchange that I could make in my profession, then I go, ooh, I have not always done well or correctly here, and I'm working on it still. How do I take actions in the behalf of others who are not so fortunate, who are really a part of the system of wage slavery? And then we think, well, we're all okay, right? Because we have professions or monies from whatever ways we've done what we've done. And yet the truth is that many of us work and many of us are still caught in a system, many, where if you don't do X today, you don't get Y, right? And the stressor of that, the realities of that we often don't talk about, right? If I don't do X, sell Y, get so many of these, I don't get paid. And it doesn't matter the work. Isn't that amazing? It is only result based. That has nothing to do with what you did prior to that. And wage slavery, isn't it true? Literally, your investment isn't the point. Your care isn't the point. Your attention is not the point. How much joy you bring is not the point. There's only one point. How many did you sell? Well, not enough, because the number is impossible. Crazy, right? And it's based on what? Absolutely nothing. Except a bed is available, or a thing is available. So that's the number you have to, it's right, that's insane. And so we have to keep this in mind. And then we keep in mind, given the fact that many of us have infinite blessings coming from all directions and all reasons, how do we contribute to right exchanges? Then, and I just want us to be looking at that. First of person, right, as person to person, beginning there, and then what? How do I relate to the larger systems? A guy, I was just at, what is it? Is it called Valero on Birmingham?
Yeah.
Where you get the amazing fish tacos? Yeah, for those who don't live here. They're like $1.29. They used to be 99 cents. They're unbelievable. And you get your car washed.
Especially it's the gas station.
Yeah.
You're buying fish tacos at a gas
Oh yeah, it's the best.
It is the best.
They're locally known as the best. They're fabulous, and they're $1.29. You can eat 5 of them because you do whatever. And so at the Valero, while you're eating your fish tacos, you can. This is local wisdom here. You can get your car washed, right? Because they also wash your car, and it's $25, and you get the whole thing done. And they do your tires and all this really good stuff. And I'm there thinking, okay, I'm here anyway. I might as well get my car washed. So I get the car washed, and I'm sitting there chewing on my carnitas on salad because I'm on a special eating thing right now, and munching away. And a gentleman comes around, an older gentleman, and he says, here's $50 you left that was under your seat. Now, he is 100% correct. I put that $50 under my seat. When I went into the Y, I decided not to leave it in my sports bra where I normally do. So if anybody's trying to get money from me, you know where to go. There it is, tucked right in there. Like my grandmother. I always have money. That's where it always is. You won't have to search me. And he says, here it is. And he hands it to me. And I'm so taken by his bringing it around to me that I can't speak. I literally. And then I say something really stupid like, I put that there.
Oh,
And he nods and says, well, here it is. And he walks off. And it takes me a minute, doesn't it? Takes me a minute to get myself together. And I go, I can't believe that that man who's got to be 68 or 9 or more years old, bending over my car, vacuuming out my vehicle from all the other good stuff I was doing, brought that $50 around. And I sit there for a minute and really think about it. And I decide to walk back around, and I tap him because he's still bent over my car, and I say, this really is yours. And he says, no, ma'am, it isn't. And this isn't necessary. This is what he says. And what's the truth? Oh, it is. Oh, yes, it is. And I said, I have deep respect for someone who, in this struggle, is going to make sure I'm okay, and brings it around. And he just puts his head down. Right, livelihood, right, is here. And we all have this opportunity, don't we? This isn't anything special. We all have it, and most of us don't take it because it's inconvenient, or now my car's ready and this guy's waving over here. Lady, come get your car, and I'm heading the other way. Right? And so it will be inconvenient, I suspect, won't it, at times? It will mean stopping when you'd rather not. It will mean pulling the car over. You probably didn't feel like it. It will mean going up to someone who you're not totally familiar with. But it is right. And in this case, I will stay with the word right. It is not only wise, it is right. And so, can we expand our limited idea of right livelihood? Right? Everyday interactions, very ordinary mostly. And what am I leaving? And what am I taking? And that we keep in mind the reality of this exchange. Right? So I'll say just a thing before we practice, because I don't want to beat this up. And I looked at a few talks, and there's a lot to say about wage slavery. I'm not going to do it because I don't think we can start there. We start right here, don't we? We start with oneself and this moment and our family and, right, those things. And then we recognize that it is, in fact, wider, bigger. And then in the realities of dependent origination, everything's included in everything, right? In all those instances. And so if anybody knows anything about the most traditional realities of wise livelihood, does anybody know that? Now remember, the Buddha often talks in negation, what we don't do, because what we do is then so large, right? That's why he does it. He says, just watch this, but there's this big area of infinite possibility for right actions, wise speech, and all of this. So we just did a little 5-part thought about what you just don't do. Does anybody have any ideas about what those might be? We haven't gone over right livelihood very much, so maybe not. Anybody? Can you guess what they might be? Stealing is really wrapped nicely in right action, in the precepts. So this has a little more to do with, in his terms, a little more profession. So I'll give you one. You don't participate in butchery, meat production, meat consumption, butchering. My family, by the way, lineage, butchers, every kind of butchers. Sure, I got that going for me. But meat production, took that very seriously. Uh-huh.
Thievery?
What?
Thievery?
No.
No.
It's all considered thievery, by the way, in its way. It's all considered wrong exchange.
Exploitation.
Um, uh, sure. Think mostly non-harm. Professions that have the potential to cause harm. So I'll give you another one: weapons, distribution, sale, production of weapons. Do you know the country that would be this one?
Yeah.
The most missiles, bombs, guns, right? Us. That's us, right? And then we look at our karmic debt and go, oops. And then now my butcher family looks pretty, like, right? See, in comparison, I start looking pretty good. Like, oh, no, you know, not so bad. Weaponry, intoxicants, poisons, that which we spray every single day on our food. Right? We're getting the idea. And 2,600 years ago, before Monsanto, before DuPont, the Buddha said, this is going to go bad. This isn't going to work out. So in the exchange, these things don't work out. And there is one more, and it is the trafficking of people. Right, that's the exploitation, the trafficking of peoples. And then we get to look at wage slavery for a minute and go, oh, you don't have to take somebody, stick a hood on them and throw them in a car for that to occur, because people exploitation is the other. Right. Now, some of us have been bartenders. Some of us have been butchers or had family of some of us, right? And so the solution here would not be to go into shame for oneself, because it becomes another version of selfing, doesn't it? To go, ugh. Which is why I am not ducking my head as I talk about my family as butchers. Because we knew what we knew, we did what we did, right? We came where we came from, and the truth is recognizing that, and not only its detriment, because there was some, if not more, there was also benefit. And we weigh those in everything in right inquiry, right? Military, of course, is considered wrong profession. We're not batting 1,000, right? So we're not batting 1,000. And then the question for me is, what do I do with that? How do I support the 18 and 19-year-olds going in to the military because there's nothing else that they know to do, and not condemn or hate or bring ill will to them, and yet also attend to a system that really is devoted to harm? What do you do? And I don't have a simple answer. I'm not looking for one. I don't think it will be simple. I do think it can begin, though, today. I don't think we go into helplessness, hopelessness, and go, there's just nothing to do, it's too big, because then we remember the guy at the Valero. And that's not so big. That's just a moment where I could do the thing that was right exchange. There, right? What a nice beginning. And it doesn't mean then you go, well, I did what I could there either, do you? You go, that's at least a start. And then I look at, how do I do it now with you all? Yes.
My son's Coast Guard, so the way that I think of it is protection and preventing harm, even though he carries a gun and the baton.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And it doesn't mean it isn't true. It means it is true. It can also be accurate, right? And true. Many of these people have done many amazing things. I just think about 9/11 and all the people that did things that without regard for uh, power or right inequities or and in fact my definition for you all will be, can we be in the exchange enough that the self disappears in it, that it isn't about the gun anymore or the baton, it is only there as resource and only when needed, and now no problem, right, at all. And then what steps forward in that uniform, right? Because the potential for resource, care, supports, peace, right, is also there. And so we keep all of this in mind. There is no, we don't immediately make the thing bad. And I think we have to be careful that we are supporting something that ultimately goes bad, because we are an aggressive warrior nation who does use aggression and ill will often first. It doesn't mean everyone does either. And in fact, I think what happened during with the FIFA soccer was people went like, oh, these are actually nice people. Oh, the real people. But the system, right, still represents something and still requires transformation. That's why we're all sitting here. It isn't only for ourselves, is it? And so what do you want to ask or say about this idea of right livelihood? The other thing I loved that the Buddha said, he said, you will be gifted. You will be gifted capacities, you will be gifted privileges, you will be gifted resources. Consider those in your exchanges. Use those things that are your assets. Use your assets personally, right? Not just financially, well. And in choosing a profession, then, that can also be true. I can use these very qualities of me in a way that can reduce suffering and contribute to ease and well-being. That's the point of it. Right, that's the point of it. Anybody ever read the book, what was it, Jim? You would know more probably. It was the book written by the Zen cook. It was like a motorcycle maintenance book.
Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
That was like this, but it was a cook. And it was I can't read, but it was the Zen cookbook. And he goes into a lot of detail, pages and pages, of exactly how the salt dissolves into the broth, and exactly how each grain of rice is sifted through his hands and washed before he places it in the pot, right? And this is a beautiful example of right livelihood. The care, the attention, the intention that he brought to every moment. And it's a fairly, maybe a 80-page, not so long book. Every page is simply this and this and this. And then we go, look at the possibilities for us, because we are capable of this. And then whether you're in the Coast Guard, not necessarily the problem at all, right? A police officer, not inherently the problem. Okay. Any thoughts about this before we practice with this a little bit? What are your thoughts about this? Right livelihood, right exchange, sacred exchange, and then using the gifts, the resources, the capacities well, whether we make money doing them or we just exchange them, right? It's not really just profession. It's interaction, relational.
Totally staying open.
Yeah. Staying open and maybe keeping that hand open as well. That it's not just open-hearted again. We've cultivated that in the wisdom factors, and now we're in the actual doing. That there is an exchange. There is an open hand and a hand in receipt, right? Last week, right action, it was really just about keeping our own hands open. Now it's about can we be watchful of what's in the exchange? What is
I'm one
actually
of the people that would get sort of hopeless and depressed listening to you talk about our country and how we live. So I'm going to just say that I think one way to bring it home for me, I didn't think of it this way before, but I tip wicked generously, as people from the East Coast say, because my son was a server. And so anybody who does anything for me gets a big tip. And now that I'm in California and everything costs more, that means the tips that are going to be, I'll leave a 30-40% tip, and I love it. And now I'm going,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what you said for a relationship, when I do it and people see, they are so touched. And some of them are like, drive up windows, I buy an ice cream cone and maybe it costs me $5 and I give them $5. And they're like, no, it was only
Right.
And the exchange is so meaningful.
Yes.
Yes. Daniel didn't have a lot of money when he died.
Yes.
Nothing, essentially, what was in his pocket. And so for me, it's that kind of a thing. And so, there's too many guns and we consume too much. But I'm doing what I can for some of the people. And they are sort of, I see it as an opening. Usually then there's a fun exchange. Oh, I hope you have fun this weekend.
Exactly.
Or go get yourself something nice. Or
exactly.
You waited on me so kindly.
Exactly.
Whatever that is. Right. And honestly, that feels really good to me. And now, my granddaughter's coming next week. I hope she comes to Sangha. She knows if she hands somebody Nana's credit card, because she's driving at the Chick-fil-A window, she damn well better give them a big fat tip.
Yeah.
So it's there's that relationship.
Yes,
so
that's
it's
right.
Growing. It's but it's little compared to what you just described. But
no, it's all counts.
It.
Yeah, it all counts.
Yeah.
And it may be all that matters in the long run. Because many of us don't have infinite dollars, so it isn't going to be a money solution. Right. So get out of there. It isn't going to be a money solution. So what's currency am I talking about?
It's an energetic exchange, connection, and ideally it's equal on both sides.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you make sure it is, because you can, right? Because you're paying attention. You're regarding not only you in the exchange, but the other. And whether it then becomes money, the smile, how are you, right, is the point, is in fact the point. Because for most of us, for any infinite number of reasons, it won't necessarily be a thing. Doesn't mean it can't be, but it won't be limited. Because how many thousands of interactions are we in a day?
That's what I like about it.
Just I-door. Just I-door interaction. Just I-door. I see you. There you go. Right? So we make it bigger and smaller, all at the same time, and it all matters.
What you said, I'm going to go to the word seeing. I think that's where the value is, because I also have a daughter in the service industry, and we are well-trained, and we look for opportunities that, like, it's sort of a karmic. I'm going to be nice to this girl because maybe someone's being nice to my girl, right? But what I notice from everyone, every time this happens, is we were mutually seeing. I think last night I was in a restaurant, and I know all about this gal that gave me a little glass of wine, and her sister's wedding, and she's going to be bridesmaid. And, but it was a gift to me too. I walked away feeling a little tickled, just like
Yes.
I know a little bit about this gal, and I bet
Yes.
we'll be back,
Yes.
and I bet we're gonna sit right in front of her, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
It was like, it, and she asked about us, and it was just like it was more than the tip was. Same thing. Tip was great, right? That was fun, but the real meaning behind it was this: we felt mutually seen.
Yeah.
And in a role where oftentimes it can be like a commodity. People feel like a commodity.
Oh, yeah, you're here to wait on me.
Yeah.
Or it's just a thing. Like you could be anybody. You could be a robot because all I'm coming for is this thing. Very transactional. So I just think it's an opportunity to take transactions and turn them into real connection.
This is what Black Rock City is based on. This is Burning Man. This is 70,000
Well, that's the idea of
people
Burning Man,
coming
yes.
to create a city where
Yes.
there's no commodification.
Yes.
And everything is given freely and everything
Yes.
is a gift.
Yes, that's right.
To show a different way of being.
Adrian was just talking with me about seeing the documentary
Oh,
on Burning Man, which I really want to do, and I know Pete and Victor and several others go for this experience of freedom, of exchange. There's no more price. It's really between people, right within, and no more me, you. We get out of that because we commodify everything, including people. That's the point of that. And then we can also choose to step out of it just like that. How lovely. And so we're just going to commit to more. How wonderful is that? And then I smile because I know I can do that. And I know you can too. And that from this very conversation, we never leave with what we can't yet do. Because what's the point? We always leave with what can I do? And it's these small moments that become sacred relationship. And you wouldn't be sitting here on Saturday if you didn't already care about that. And yes, then let's look together beyond. And we do that in the service projects that we do, and then in the monies we contribute in other ways, and right, there's more. But I don't think it's ultimately as important as this. I think this everyday a connection, sacred relationship building with everyone, right, with everyone. Not only the gardener you do work with, but the one you don't, is important. And that regard is quite the commodity, isn't it? And ultimately, maybe more, because then all right things happen from that also. If and when I think we can get there eventually as a people.
Well, and you never know, and you might have changed the world for somebody.
Well,
You may
you
not
can know
change.
you are.
But
Yes.
what I'm saying is there are a lot of times when you don't even realize you've done something
You don't.
that was a kindness, or
You don't.
go for it, encouragement or something.
That's right.
And later they come to you and say, you don't know how much that meant to me.
That's right.
And it changed my trajectory or whatever. And you think,
Yes. Do you know what's so beautiful about what you're saying, Renee, is that the self wasn't even in it. That's why you don't know. You don't know because you didn't go, oh, I'm going to get to be a good person right now and give you that. You just were being that. And the Buddha says this is the highest gift. The highest gift is just the being that without and then I get to go home and go, thank you. I was so great today. There's no part of that. And it often is unknown, isn't it? Because you were just bringing that which you would ask for. That golden rule, you're not thinking so that you can thank me later, or it doesn't even come up because it's not transactional, Lisa said. There's no part of I'll do this for you so that I get anything. It doesn't even come up. And the freer it is, the more meaningful it actually becomes. Isn't it true? Anybody know that truth? The freer it's offered, that help, that kindness, that whatever it is, without I'm being kind now, the more meaningful.
I grew up with just had a flash. When I was a kid, we had this little photograph, and it was just people from all walks of life, and the classic quote, "Do unto others as you would have others do unto you."
Yes.
And I would read it every day because I was walking by.
Yes.
It's so much that.
Yes, it's so much that. And this is the Buddha's first um, concept of exchange, that we see everyone as the Buddha, that we see everyone as the goodness, we see everyone as the brother, the sister, the self, right? And then whatever comes from that, rest in that. That's why wise view is first. It says if we have that correct view, it all goes right. And if we don't have that view, then nothing you say, and then nothing you do, and then no livelihood straightens it out, right? If you don't already have that wise, compassionate, deep understanding.
And what's interesting to me is when I'm thinking about it, and I have a lot of experiences like that. My mom is in assisted memory care, and I never let it go by when someone is doing a kindness for her.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as a
Yes.
result, the gift that I get is they share their life with me.
Yes.
Look, this is me proposing to my fiance. This is me, and it brings me to tears.
Yes.
That exchange. Flip side is, and this hasn't happened to me decades, that I like this. Like I was in about. This is something that's happened a month ago, and I cannot get it out of my head. I was in Ralph's. So a guy came by and said, "You're taking up the whole aisle." And I said, and I could feel the grip. And I said to him, I said, all you have to do is say, "Excuse me, I was glad when you were getting me to this. You don't deserve this." And I said something very unkind. And even that, where I came home and I told Lou and I told my kids, he deserved it, he deserved it. But he didn't. The pain that it's caused me, even though he was wrong, and the amount of times that I'm in a supermarket where people are taking, he didn't have a cart, he just breezed by, but he was whatever was happening with him, whatever was happening with me. But it could so easily happen, and what surprised me is like, what happened to me? That in that instant where I used to be like that when I was young. It was like, yeah, you say something to me, I'm just gonna,
Right.
you know. And I'm like, what happened? Like,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
like you say, causes and conditions.
That's right.
But that exchange has caused me so much suffering, and I've forgiven myself for it. But it's like, if I could find him, I wouldn't say, I couldn't apologize to him because he wouldn't take it. He wasn't in a place
Right.
for that.
Right.
But I was so surprised. It sat with me. It really, like, it's still sitting with me months later. Those that
Yes.
I could do that. You know?
Yes.
So.
Yes. We're all capable of fear, aren't we? And we're all capable of ill will that comes from fear, as is the other, right? And so harsh words, we all understand where they come from. Your harsh words no different than his. And the consequence is the same, isn't it? The consequence, there's suffering. Even when it's not recognized, or even when it's justified, or right, it isn't actually, there's no saving oneself from the realities of separation. There's no saving oneself. There's no, you deserved it, and it doesn't work. We already know this. We suffer from it. And so then we can feel for all of us who too quickly say a harsh word or act unskillfully or right throw the thing back at the person or whatever flash reaction we have all had, haven't we all had them, and all suffered, all of us, the consequence of that, because then we are never safe there. Once we become enemy to ourselves and each other, right, which means working against my own goodness in that moment of fear, there is no safety. And it isn't even about the other anymore. It's about I can't rest with myself because look at what I could cause this harm, and it's to everyone. And this is what we understand. This is part of its beauty, though, Cindy, is that you're recognizing that there will, however entitled or fair or right it seems to flip the person off, or right, and we've all done the things we've right, ill-willed and aggressive, that we are suffering, and that it began from suffering, and that we have to remember that also, that this came from suffering. Because if you weren't suffering, you wouldn't have propagated suffering, right? Yeah, that's right. Justifying it. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, good for you. And allowing the experience so that you can connect enough with, that didn't work out so well, right? Doesn't work out so well. As much as I felt entitled or that they really did the wrong thing, or I'm saying that about my neighbor. There were actions that were required. I don't even feel good about them. I did take them without ill will. I know I did. And I still don't feel great about it. This woman didn't live in her house for 12 years. Right? I don't feel good about that. I would have liked for that to have been different. Right? And it wasn't even, it just, we couldn't, Norma Jean used to say there are parts of life that are unresolvable. And we also have to open to that, don't we? The reality of this life is that it doesn't all work out perfectly. We're right for any infinite causes and conditions. Some we see, some we can't even yet see. It doesn't quite go the way we even see as an aspiration. It's why we hold the bodhisattva aspiration lightly. We have to, don't we? Because it's an ideal that on any one day, most of us fail. But we continue. Still, right? We're going to continue. And doesn't everybody feel exactly like Cindy? Like there's the thing I did that if only I wouldn't have done it. But I did, and I said it, and I had the face. And I've been in a relationship, as you all know, with my husband for lifetimes, really. And if anybody had ever heard at 19 some of the things we said to each other, let me just say, without training, without skill, without modeling, without coming from anyone who knew anything about this at all. My father just got out of the Korean War. The only thing he knew how to do was kill people, really. And then plunk in a family with babies, right? And so we have to, in the recognition, we feel for everyone, I think is what I'd say, don't we? Then we feel for everyone, ourselves too, in it, and go, you just get up, you dust it off, and you try again. Because I'm pretty sure today I will likely not be in fully right exchange somewhere. Not because I intended, but because the causes and conditions are ripe. And there is deep momentum for all of us, isn't there? For all of us. But here we are. And I love that. Here we are going, I'm going to break that cycle, at least for this moment. And then this one, oh, yay. Yay for us. Yes, we're going to get ready to practice, Robin. Yes, good to see you, Robin.
Thank you. Super quick, everybody knows I'm working on boundaries. Very hard to stand up for myself. But my brother, who's been verbally abusive to me, honestly, since I was a kid, we had an exchange while I was driving, and he started screaming at me and cussing at me, and I just asked him to leave the car, and I drove off. And I was like, okay, that was really good of me. And I didn't turn around. My sister was in the car. She's like, there is no way you turn around and pick him up. But it made me feel bad.
Uh-huh.
And then he didn't show up to the thing that I was taking him to.
Right.
And I feel bad for that part.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's not right to treat me that way. You can't
Right.
treat me that way.
Right.
But that's such a hard balance.
Yes, remember the me-you dichotomy is it's sticky.
Yeah.
Because the minute I'm going, you can't do to me, because I don't, we're already getting into the transactional. It's very difficult to sort out. Honestly, I don't think there's any simple answers to these kinds of things. It might have been okay, to just go, I'm pulling over and going to step out for a minute while you get it together. I don't know what's equally correct. It's something we're constantly evaluating, aren't we? And for you, because that's such big work for you, just not staying in it is probably a great act for you to go, I don't have to just be the recipient of this. And I think on the way to boundaries, we can often get obnoxious. I will say, because we don't know how to do them, by the way. And so we go from being too passive and too, right, to going, fuck you, you don't get to do that to, and you're going, well, that's progress. And to some extent it is. Now, there's a middle path, says the Buddha, where there is not harm to you and no harm to the other. Big work. Big work. And I don't mostly find it. I'm like, pretty continuously. Like, okay, I don't want to, like how to hold oneself and another so that there is no distinction and that there is no separation, which means I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah. There was a lot of fear in the transaction.
That's usually how we get there.
Yeah, that's how I reacted. I
Yeah.
think your suggestion is really valuable.
That's how we get there. I would just say hold us both as often as we can, and you might have to get out of the car to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you stay in the car. I'm not suggesting so. I don't know if you stay in the relationship. I'm not suggesting so, right? That's simple. To just go, just be nice and it all works out is not accurate. So I don't want to be simple about this stuff. This is complex.
Isn't this what we were practicing for?
That's the point.
Double awareness is.
That's the point. Me and you.
So in those moments that are difficult, we.
Well, that's why we're going to practice now, because in the quiet, we can see the path. And you actually, anybody ever do that, of course, because I had deer hunter family. One more thing, I got karmically, right? You'd just sit there and be still. And in the stillness, you could see things you could never otherwise see. You could hear things you could never otherwise hear. And it was beautiful, really. And you were just now a part of it. It wasn't me or the forest. It was the forest and me together in it, right? This is how you know, I think, right exchanges. Because there's no other or I in it.
But I couldn't shoot the deer and my dad gave me tons of shit.
Yes, well, of course, because you had a lineage. And there's a tradition that comes, and right, if the lineage is be the warrior or male, I'm guessing Jim got a little, kind of you. My father would have said something like "you pussy," over, like you're kidding, right? You can't do this, because he also was very familiar with lots of people who didn't get to eat and talked about it in Korea. Like, oh, you're going to eat everything, including the rat. And I couldn't imagine that. But then, can we open to these realities without falling somehow into me or you? Right. Okay. So taking a deep breath, big exhale, and we rest in awareness itself, that which has no other. No space and then me in it that doesn't even exist. In the truth of our interconnectedness, everything is interbeing. The air and you, the plant, the body next to you, and the bird song. And we don't look for some other moment to begin. We find this body in this posture with this wholly awakened heart mind. That actually can hold it all. It understands the professions that have not garnered merit, the ones that have. The moments where the exchange was so perfect, so sacred, so precious that there was no self or other in it. And the one where the only thing we could tell or feel was the difference between us. And they're all real. And can we rest in a certain understanding about it all? That fear, leading to anger or ill will, can often be a momentum. And the very recognition of that momentum can be the beginning of its end. We can feel the energy, we can feel the impulse. And it is a beautiful moment to commit oneself to non-harm and take a step back when we can. And we're going to breathe for several moments with the whole of this life. The skillful moments and the unskillful ones. Rest back. Because we are awakening completely right now. We can see it all. And we commit ourselves completely to this noble eightfold path. Some of us will have the momentum to just fall into the self-diminishing habit, the self-loathing habit, the self-judging habit, the condemning habit. This will not serve you well. and consequently will not serve others. It will feed the sense of separation. You, like me, have room to grow. It's okay. Can I be here now with this fire in my heart to continue to practice, to be? And then we must remember that part of this Noble Eightfold Path means taking time each day for right effort, which is a discipline in which we are committedly still, resting in that forest, so that we can see clearly. This is not a collection of failed moments. This is a commitment to cultivate skillful ones. There is nothing to think here that will serve you. See if you can't simply reside in the body, this body that is wholly supported by all of life, and that there is an exchange in this, that there is you here as well, sustaining and supporting life itself. And what is the exchange then this moment? In this appearance of doing nothing, what's here? And whatever my thoughts, whatever my memories, can I commit myself just here to non-harm? Can I begin that sacred relationship, that sacred exchange with myself? And that will invite the truth of compassion. Can I feel for myself, as we've been talking about, in all those difficult moments when I was fearful or pained or felt alone or deficient and didn't know what to do? that self-compassion is necessary as an ingredient toward this right relationship, right exchange, right livelihood. If we condemn ourselves, we will condemn the other in their fear, in their confusion, in their shutdown. Where we sense separation, we are always in contraction and confusion. Always. So can we begin here? Feeling for oneself. Beginning right relationship, right livelihood in this very exchange. And as the breeze this morning touches your skin, it does not ask, are you deserving of this? It already knows. Can we honor the Dharma of the present moment, inviting, supporting, allowing right exchange? And if you get twizzled or go into thinking about it, simply come back to the right exchange of the breath. What am I thinking that is life sustaining, life supporting? And beyond the thought, then, how am I being? And then we notice gratitude, appreciation, a sense of connectedness, of regard and peace. And then inviting this very awakened heart mind, this very Buddha body and being to one of those difficult interactions with exactly this ease, this stability, this sense of oneness, of unity and interconnection. And see what you might offer now. Maybe the voice tone would become softer. Maybe the recognition of the other's suffering would be greater. And maybe the recognition of your own suffering. The truth that all interactions matter, those spoken and those unspoken. Those recognized and those not even recognized. A continuous exchange. And what is the currency? Begin always with attention. Is something being asked? Is something being offered? And the answer is yes. What can I exchange right now? Even though I am recollecting a past moment. It might be wise view. What would be helpful, skillful? What's possible? And what are you asking of the other, if anything? If we are cultivating conditions where life flourishes, what else is needed? Remembering the extended hand is both giving and receiving, and this exchange then includes right livelihood. Sustaining life. And see if we can completely forget the idea of the exchange, because it often implies what I'm getting, and let the exchange simply be that which I am available to offer. And what is that? And you might notice that if it is in right action and right livelihood, there is not much else needed. That it is already whole and complete. That both the getter and the giver were you. And may we commit ourselves most wholeheartedly to this right living. And may this practice contribute. So be it. Other insights, thoughts?
Well, there was a man, Karl, from Germany in the mid-1800s who had something to say about slavery and wages. But I guess almost 200 years later, I find that very distasteful. Maybe another 200 years.
Yep. Takes a while. And then we all have right now to understand what we understand about that. And recognize exchange in it all. As a volunteer, as a contributor, as a worker, as a person who holds a profession, as a partner, as a parent, as a child, as a caregiver, as a neighbor. It's continuous. It's good to know something about it for ourselves. I'm going to get just on chat for a minute, and then we're going to do our blessing stones. Looks like everybody's okay. Yes.
It was really interesting because of the thoughts I was having about my brother, but the thing that kept coming into my mind was decoupling. Like, like it got rid of my abusive husband.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'm just decoupling from my brother.
Uh-huh. Maybe from the idea that you are a victim.
Okay.
Maybe the greatest decoupling will come when you no longer see yourself that way. When you realize that you are empowered with wise understanding, right, to take actions that are skillful, both for you and then consequently for them. And it will not be separate. It will not be separate. It won't be a me or you action. It'll be a me and you action. Good for everyone. All benefiting. So much to learn. I didn't say I don't think that I had any expertise in this. And I am looking all the time, like, where is that? And how do is there a place that can hold us both? And if there isn't, to be willing not to act unless, just to the extent necessary. Okay. I want to go around and name for a moment our blessing. And so if you don't have a pebble, get one. There's the pebble jar right there. And as you're placing it, I'd like you to name what blessing are you putting in our communal blessing singing bowl that has been beautifully reconstructed by Libby, the gluer, and Carrie, the gold placer. And it's stunning. Could somebody pick that up and is passing it around? And I have mine here. And say, what's the blessing? What are you putting in?
Self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
Kindness.
Kindness. I'm going to say this out loud because our Zoom participants cannot hear.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Peace.
Empathy.
Empathy. Allowing. Self-compassion. Acceptance. Suffering and no suffering. Ease.
Non-harming.
Non-harming. Groundedness.
Staying open.
Openness.
And
Open-heartedness. And I have something. Anybody else? I'm putting in a shell that someone offered me that they glued back together. I'm blessing our capacity to fail, that we can allow the failure and that we can begin again. If we cannot tolerate the failure, we cannot participate, right? We just shut down and close off. And so everyone's saying this, our self-compassion, kindness, and that it begins here in this very willingness to acknowledge both our failures and our ability to be whole, just like that shell once again. Beginning just now. And with all those blessings in hand, may we draw our hands together towards the heart, whatever way feels right for you, offering this Bodhisattva ideal as the path, the Noble Eightfold Path being realized on this Bodhisattva path as well. Making contact with your own heart, this genuine desire to end suffering for all beings, so that they too may be happy, free, and awakened. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. Breathing that in. Letting it settle in your own heart, in your own muscles, in your own cells. In the marrow. May I be happy, and may all beings be happy. May I be free from suffering. May all beings be free from suffering. May I recognize my blessings, that which I have been gifted both personally, resource-wise, and may I use those resources towards right living, free from harm. May I remember that I am held continuously, without exception, and then may I hold others, all deserving of care and attention. And may I do so again and again, forever again, remembering that no moment of goodness is ever diminished. It can only grow and flourish, becoming more and more. May this practice today contribute, and may it continue as we now go about the day practicing right exchange, sacred relationship, the giving and taking, the gift, the giver, and the receiver, never, never separate. May we be grateful for this Sangha, for these teachings, and for the Buddha being in us all. So be it. We have Filabelli next Thursday. We have already filled, there are no more openings available for this Thursday. And I just discovered that I accidentally signed up for Friday.
Oh, shoot.
So I'm not sure what I can do. I'm going to make a little call because I really would like to go. Just realized that. So I'll keep everybody posted. But so far we have Jim and Chris and Carrie. That's our, and I thought I was signed up, but we'll see what I can create for that. And next Thursday, Lynn, you will not be here.
I will not be
That's
here.
the 20th.
Greg will be leading. We still need food. And we still need volunteers. We need a greeter, the person who hands out the plates. And I need a couple of people to show up early to help Greg get set up. And then we always want volunteers to sit and talk with our guests.
Yes, we're looking for supports in all forms. Al and I have committed to coming early, but if we can get others there to help, that would be great to get tables set up. Not everybody should be doing that, of course, but if you can, that would be wonderful. And I think we're still some entrees, desserts, and some other things. A little bit of everything still needed. So let's get the calls to Lynn so that we know we're in good shape for next Thursday, the 20th. Not this one, but the following. And then we will pick a date in September for starting our North County Vista. We had just a few signups for this. We're going to try again in September. And then I think we might look at an every other month commitment on that. I want to make sure that we're committing, if we're saying we're going to be X number, that we're filling that, or that we don't keep those spaces from others. So I just want to be investigating that in September. I know summer can be a funny time because half the time we're gone, and but let's look at it in September. Any other, I'm just going to take a look to make sure we're not. Yes, thank you to you all. Wonderful. So that's, I think, what we're at. The only other thing I'll say is that I'm looking at our book for the fall. And I have abandoned Pema. Pema has never abandoned us. So I don't know about the right relationship on this. I did not love the book. It was a review. I didn't feel like it was substantial enough for us. I did find a book. I want to show it to you because I'm really enjoying this book. But the book is leading me to something else. You know, you have to let things continue to unfold. And so I'm loving this, Tracing the Untraceable Buddha. It's a fascinating, fabulous book. And then I remembered that there's a book we should read that we have not yet read, and it is Mindfulness by Joseph Goldstein. It's stunning. It takes us back to good root, back to good practice, back to clear seeing understanding. This gentleman was a friend of Joseph's all the way back when he was working with Munindraji, their first teacher. He was also a student, but I don't want to say that I think he's saying anything, I think better than I think Joseph did. I thought Joseph was cleaner, a little clearer, a little more precise. And I think we could use some of that. This guy's a little more narrative. He's got a little more of his own thoughts about it. I don't know if we need that. I think just good basics might be enough. So I want you to look for that book because it's been around a long time, and you can get it at, I'll put some links in, you can get it used. It was not a cheap first book. It was actually somewhat expensive. Now, because it's many, many years since Joseph has written that, we could get that for probably $8 to $10. And I would prefer, if you would, to get it used.
If in my library, I get a book and I took it back to renew it. Said, oh no, you can just keep renewing it. It's weird.
Yes, yes, you can. So just know, libraries have them. I think they only let you keep it for a while. Sometimes we can find now the Kindle, even though it didn't come out originally in Kindle, it can now be Kindle. You can look at it that way as well. But I'd like us to be watchful because we're all getting rid of books and getting rid of a lot of books. And that just turns out to be trees, folks. So let's, where we can, do the used. It would be my strong preference. I'd like us all to consider that, or Kindle, if we could avoid the repurchase, because it's a somewhat a stack for a book. But I think you would really, I think we'll enjoy the book. And we've actually never done it. And I don't know if we've done a book by Joseph. I don't think we have we? In all this time. Yeah, I don't think we've done a book. I think it's time.
What's the title again?
The book by Joseph Goldstein is just called Mindfulness.
Oh,
You can't mess it up. And it is, you cannot mess it up. And I will put at least 2 links where we frequently get used books. If I can grab a couple, I will. And then I'll let you know that I have some. All right, everyone, thank you so much for your practice today. Thank you. We will be on. Bye, everyone on Zoom. Good to see you all.